The quality of snow crab is determined by the consumer. They look for snow crab that taste good, are clean, have firm texture, and are full of meat.
I think what the consumers are looking for is they want obviously the top quality, and it's also what we're looking for. We look for really nice color, really nice sweetness to it. Usually we'll take a little bit of the meat out and try it, and basically that's generally what we're looking for.
Meeting consumer expectations is important so that everyone in the snow crab industry can receive top value for their product and services. The crab fishery provides more than 2,000 direct jobs to vessel crews and workers, making this fishery very important to Nova Scotia. Snow crab has excellent flavor and texture when it is handled properly. Poor handling practices reduce the quality of product to the consumer, so everyone in the industry must understand and use the best handling methods possible. In order to maintain good quality, it's first important to understand all aspects of the product handling chain. And always remember, quality is what the consumer wants. Snow crab are caught in large cone-shaped pots. These pots are baited, then placed on the bottom in 30 to 120 fathoms of water. These pots target the right size, sex, and condition of snow crab. Experiments are being conducted to further exclude soft-shell crab from the harvest. Mature male crab are most abundant when fished in their preferred environment, which is temperature of 0.5 to 4 degrees Celsius. Pots are hauled aboard after 1 to 3 days of soaking. Crabs are gently sorted, stowed, and iced to maintain quality. Upon landing, crab are removed from storage, weighed ashore, then loaded on a truck or stored in the plant holding room until processed. Most snow crab are butchered, resulting in 2 crab sections. The sections are then packed in trays, cooked, frozen, and packed into consumer or food service ready packages. Snow crab are shipped to consumers in Europe, North America, and Asia. Poorer quality products such as softer or dirty crab have the meat removed and are repacked for consumers. Numerous conservation measures have been adopted by many of the fleets, such as soft-shell monitoring and closures, as well as installation of biodegradable panels to eliminate ghost fishing.
Good handling practices are very important to the quality of the crab that we eventually land at the plant. If fishermen, the crews, the deckhands are not handling the crab properly, the crab lands at the wharf, broken legs, claws broken, dead crab. That crab has to go through the processor. If he doesn't have good quality crab to put on the marketplace, at the end of the day, it results in a poorer price for the fish harvester. So better quality on the boats means better quality at the plants. Better quality at the plants should result in a better price in the marketplace, thus come back to us at the wharf with a better price.
To reduce the opportunity for contamination of crab, the storage areas aboard must be cleaned regularly. All surfaces should be hosed with water to loosen solids and proteins, sprayed with a food-grade cleaner, then steamed or pressure washed. To ensure the catch is not contaminated, before and after each trip, an inspection should be completed on all chemical lines and lights in the hold, and the bilge pump should be checked to ensure it is operating properly. Keeping records of inspections is very important, so that if contamination occurs, it may be limited to only part of the catch. Once the hold is cleaned and inspected, clean water should be sprayed throughout the hold to help increase humidity. Then the hold should be charged with ice by putting ice in all pens that will be used. This will help in reducing the temperature in the entire hold. Depending on air and water temperatures, insulation of the holding area, and trip duration, different quantities of ice should be used. For insulated holds, it's recommended that during a spring fishery, 1 pound of ice for every 3 pounds of crab be used. In summer, when air and water temperatures are higher, 1 pound of ice for 2 pounds of crab is required. For holding areas that are not insulated, adequate ice should be taken to ensure there is still ice remaining on top of the crab when landed. The Nova Scotia crab fishery is pursued differently in different areas of the province. Those fishermen in northern Nova Scotia harvest near shore off the highlands or northeast coast, which results in very short trips. These boats tend to stow crab bulk in deck pens. Many boats in northeast Nova Scotia vessels have converted to using insulated containers, replacing deck holding pens. Boats fishing offshore are larger and have longer trips, some up to 4 days. Most boats bulk stow crab below deck, and many holds are insulated. Whereas most boats fish in late spring or summer, some in the Gulf start fishing in April and fish lobster at the same time. These boats use less ice because water and air temperatures are still quite cold. There are many crab boats in Atlantic Canada that have converted to refrigerated seawater systems. This holds the crab live in seawater at temperatures similar to the ocean bottom. This holding method reduces the risk of suffocation and crushing. However, refit and operating costs are quite high. This type of system is of most benefit when trip durations are long and catches are large. Given the differences between boats, operators should review every step of the process on board with 2 questions in mind. First, how can we minimize temperature shock? And second, how can we reduce physical shock? Ice is meant to serve 3 functions: cooling of the catch, washing of the crab as it melts, and keeping gills moist. Well-insulated holding areas will help the ice work properly and maintain the ideal temperature of 0.5 to 4 degrees Celsius.
We take about 2 tons of ice for 6,000 pounds of crab. Roughly speaking, you try and take a little bit more ice in the summer fishery. The temperature is warmer and you need to make sure that the crab stays cool. For snow crab, it's really important to maintain a high quality level of the crab. The reason why is because, again, the more lively the crab, the more it weighs out, the less crab that you actually need.
Crab can also be too cold, which normally happens in a winter fishery, or if crab are stowed touching metal surfaces such as aluminum pen boards or stanchions. The metal is colder than the ice and causes hypothermia, which results in the crab shedding limbs to protect its internal organs. Ice should be packed between the crab and all metal surfaces to act as an insulator. Physical damage to crab, such as crushing, limb loss, and shell punctures, can happen in a number of ways. Any physical damage to the crab will make it less lively and reduce the length of time crab will stay alive. Handling crab gently, stowing carefully, and eliminating all dropping of crab will reduce physical trauma. Many snow crab land with missing limbs. All efforts must be made to reduce damage. Crab legs will be tangled in the mesh of the pot when hauled. The pot should be hoisted clear of the rail when bringing aboard, as dragging the pot against the rail will damage crab limbs. Once out of the pot, the catch should be quickly sorted, ideally on an elevated surface in a sheltered area out of the sun and wind, either of which will dry the gills of the crab, causing death. This graph shows that just 10 minutes of air exposure causes a lot of mortality. If it was 60 minutes, it would be more than 50% mortality for hard-shelled crab. If all dropping was eliminated, crab mortality would be reduced. Immediately return females, undersize, soft shell, and any bycatch to the sea by lowering a pan to the surface or using some type of chute. Research suggests that soft-shell crab should be returned within 3 minutes to increase their chance of surviving. In the past, soft-shell crab may have been kept too long and handled roughly. Being gentle with all returns is important to protect the future of the fishery.
When males molt to the terminal molt, when they get that big claw, generally they are bigger than the 95 millimeter current commercial legal size. Some animals will actually be above that measure, so there will be a legal sized animal, but they're still an immature animal. So by returning that animal to the water, generally they'll molt once more, On occasion, they'll molt twice more after that. With each successive molt, you actually gain about 50% in shell size, and you actually almost double the weight of the animal. So what you find happening is that for every one of these animals that's returned to the water and survives, proper handling allows for survival, when it's returned to the water, if a fisherman catches that animal again the following year, it's actually quite a bit larger. It's almost doubled in weight and will really increase the yield to the fishery per animal.
All crab that is kept must be handled very carefully and stowed in the holding area as soon as possible. When sorting, crab should be put in pans gently. When moving crab to the holding area, the pans should be either slid to on-deck storage or handed to another crew member in the hold.
A sorting table aboard a crab boat cuts your time down for sorting your crabs and putting them away almost in half. Nobody's tired. It's easier to return your crabs back to the ocean floor because we just have a little door in our chute, and it goes right over the side of the boat. You just give your hand a swirl and away goes the crabs back right over. We just say we don't want them, just give them a shove and they're going back in the water.
Crab stowed in pans is preferred because crab are handled less, maintaining quality. However, smaller boats don't have adequate space to permit panning. Most crab boats in Nova Scotia store crab in bulk in pens, either on deck or below deck. Using this method, crab are sorted into a pan belly up, then transferred to the hold, and the pan is emptied, leaving the crab back up in the pen. All crab must be stowed back up. If stowed belly up, crab will suffocate and drown and die. Crab stowed belly up will result in 35% more dead in 10 hours than if kept back up. When panning crab, one large scoop of ice should be placed in the bottom of the pan. Then the 45 pounds of crab placed in with limbs folded under them. One full scoop of ice should be sprinkled throughout the pan of crab, and one more scoop of ice should be put over the crab. To reduce weight on the crab, pans must never be filled above the stacking support. This space between pans is also needed so air can circulate, melting the ice during the trip.
Cover your whole pen, bottom of your pen, with a few inches ice, probably 6 inches I'd say. And then every, I'd say it's 2.5 feet, we have pen boards again goes across, which is aluminum boards, goes across to put a shelf in. Okay, before we put them boards in, we ice the crabs off. There's about 2.5 feet, close to 3 feet of crabs, and then ice it. Up another 3 feet, or whatever the pin is. I think it's between 2.5 and 3 feet. Ice it, and then we go up again, and then the last one is all covered with ice. After we put the ice on the crab, we put the tarp, and then we put a layer of ice right over the top of that tarp. And when we come in with our crabs, when you take the tarp off, or before you take the tarp off, here's 50% of your ice still on top of that tarp, so you know there's something underneath. When you pull your tarp off, here's your ice just the same as you put it there.
On shallow draft boats, crab are normally stowed on deck. When kept this way, putting crab in insulated boxes with lids is preferred due to superior insulation quality.
In our particular boat, we don't have hatches that go down over top of it, so we have tarps that we lay over top to prevent essentially wind circulation or heat loss going throughout the process. And so if you had hatches, you could put them down. In our particular case, we don't have that opportunity, so we use tarps instead.
Using a target holding temperature of 0.5 to 4 degrees Celsius during stowage allows ice to melt and work the way it should. If it's too cold, ice will not melt, and crab will dry out, or may get too cold and shed their limbs due to hypothermia. Warmer temperatures will result in ice melting too quickly, and crab temperature will increase before being landed. Installing a thermometer in the hold will aid the crew in keeping within the target temperature range. The holding area should remain moist throughout the trip. A humidity level of 75% or higher extends the life of crab. One way to help maintain high humidity is to seal off the hold from outside air, Keeping hatch covers on between hauls and while steaming is good practice. Installing a humidity sensor in the hold will permit for measuring moisture levels during the trip. All holding pens should be tapered and permit drainage for ice melt. If water remains in the pen or holding container, crab on the bottom will drown.
Well, you know, paying people by the pound to unload, in my opinion, is not a good thing, because it is the more they get out, the more they get paid, or the quicker they get their pay. So that forces them to, of course, throw everything they can in the pan to get it off the ship. But by paying the hour, you can slow the pace down and make them take their time and tuck all the legs inside the pans and make sure everything is upright. And it has to save you money, because if you have a dead crab, the labor is pretty cheap to make sure that crab was upright in the pan in the beginning. So it definitely saves you money. The quality of the crab doesn't suffer because of it.
So we control limb loss by having the vessel keep the temperature in the hold to a +1, 2, or 3 again, so that when he does arrive at the wharf, their employees are trained prior to the season opening to understand that it's important to have the ice broken apart, so that removing the crab from the boat and how to grab that crab, to grab a hold of the body as much as possible and not the limbs themselves. Because when the crab limbs are broken off, it becomes a lower grader pack and will bring on the market a lower return.
Crab are handled numerous times after the boat lands, and this poses the highest risk of damage to crab from impact shock and physical trauma. Having properly trained unloading crews and communicating problems on a timely basis will ensure high-quality crab is delivered to the processor. When landing crab in pans, unloading is fast and easy, as the crab do not have to be individually handled. Once weighed, each pan should be topped up with ice to an inch or so below the stacking support, so the box above does not crush the crab. Bulk stowed crab should be removed from the top down by placing 2 hands under the crab and lifting to loosen several, then pulling toward the run and gently placing them back up in the pan. Unloaders have been seen pulling on claws or legs to remove the crab from the pen. This causes trauma and may result in the crab shedding a limb afterwards. Also, sometimes when the crab are taken from the pen, they are dropped or tossed into the pan, which of course causes impact shock. When the pan is full, all crab legs should be tucked into the pan below the support point. Any legs sticking out of the pan will cause trauma, and leg loss will occur within hours. At no time should the catch be unloaded if there is no storage facility or truck at the site. Quality will be better maintained in the hold of the boat. If there's to be a lengthy delay before unloading, the crab should be re-iced in the hold. During unloading, the length of time crab are exposed to sunlight, wind, or rain should be minimized, as it can accelerate death. Also, pans of crab should be gently hoisted and placed on the wharf at the weighing station. Pans of crab should be weighed to 45 pounds. This permits adequate room for ice and reduces the chance of crushing the crab. Once weighed, 1 scoop of ice should immediately be put in each pan. The pans should then be stacked on a pallet and the pallet wrapped. A new bagged stowage system that can be used in either insulated containers or pens may be beneficial, as crab can be unloaded more quickly. Also, crab do not manually have to be removed from the pen, reducing limb loss and physical trauma. While loading the truck with crab, 2 inches of ice should be spread on the floor below the pans or pallets. When loading boxes onto a truck, a ramp to drive them right into the trailer is best, as it reduces the chance of impact shock. Another method is to load the pallets with a forklift, then move them in the trailer using a pallet jack. Manual loading is very strenuous and can result in pans being tossed and dropped. As each tier is finished in the trailer, ice should be added to the top. Also, the trailer doors should be kept shut if there are any loading delays. A tarp over the top boxes will also help to maintain temperature, increase humidity, and protect the crab from dehydration caused by the airflow of the trailer's reefer. All trucks should be insulated and have a reefer that will maintain the temperature at 1 to 3 degrees Celsius. This allows for slow, controlled melting of the ice during transport. The trailer should also have a good drainage system, so drip water containing bacteria does not accumulate in the bottom pans, as this can contaminate and ultimately drown the crab. Also, having ribbed sides and bottom in the trailer permits airflow and easily allows runoff of ice melt. Truckers should notify the plant of their expected arrival time so that production plans can be finalized. Trailers should only unload if the plant has capacity to hold the crab. If there are unloading delays, ice should be added to the top pans every 12 hours and the trailer's temperature closely monitored until crab is transferred to the holding room. When the truck is unloaded, the pallets should be removed quickly, sent directly to processing, or re-iced and put in a chilled holding room. All handling of individual pans should be done gently, ensuring they are not dropped or exposed to the elements. Handling pallets of pans reduces labor and unnecessary stress to the crab. All incoming lots of crab are inspected. The inspection should include testing how lively the crab are, presence of soft shell, and a visual check for any significant amount of barnacles on the crab. To reduce the amount of dead found in the plant, the lots which are least lively, those with drooping legs and little movement, are weak and should be processed first. Lots that have barnacled or soft shell should be kept separate and processed at one time. All pans of crab not going directly to processing should be re-iced before going into the chill room. Holding rooms should maintain crab at a temperature of 2 to 3 degrees and humidity at 75%.
Sometimes you hold it till the next day, keep it iced down well in a cool room. But if you have to hold it any longer than that, what we do is leave it aboard the boat. Ice it down well in the hold of the boat and just leave it there. It's a much cooler, better place for it. We use a reefer that we set the reefer at about 3 degrees and ice, lots of ice on top to maintain the coolness in the unit.
A plastic curtain inside the holding room door will reduce the amount of warm air going into the chill room, helping to maintain temperature. A sloped floor and proper drainage are necessary to remove all contaminated meltwater. There should be a minimum of 4 inches of empty space along the walls, ceiling, and floor to permit airflow. If crab are to be kept for processing later, they should be re-iced by putting 1 scoop of ice on the top of each tier every 12 hours, or as necessary. When empty, the holding room should be sanitized and rinsed as part of the daily plant cleanup routine. All pans should be sanitized and rinsed after each use. Some plants have experimented with spray systems and live holding tanks as a means of holding crab until processing. If either of these methods are adopted on a commercial basis, it will allow processors to keep crab alive longer, which is very important during supply gluts.
So looking after the product and having top quality is going to bring everyone a better return, and everyone will benefit from it. So there's no question, we all have a role to play, and it's about bringing good quality product to the market.
The whole industry needs to be concerned about quality because everyone's reputation is at stake. Doesn't matter which zone the crab come from. Once it ends up in the market, it's Canadian crab. So we've all got to be concerned. We all have to work together.
The crew must be educated. It is up to the skipper to educate the crew, teach them about good handling practices, show them how to handle the crab, how to properly put them in the fish hole, how they should be stored properly and iced properly, and not to be flinging discards over the sides, not to be throwing the crab around. Deckhands are very, very important in this fishery, and they need to be educated as well.
To maximize the benefit to the fishing industry and to the processing sector, which eventually leads to the consumer, the higher quality product, we can do more with less. And that's really the important part, is doing more with less.
We're looking to gain a new markets out there, and if we can promote our handling practices from ocean to plate on that, and where the consumer will understand that we are looking out for the best interest of the people that's going to be eating them.
Adopting best practices for handling crab is essential for everyone to realize the best return from this valuable resource. These best practices include hauling pots above the rail, emptying the pot while supported above the sorting surface, sorting crab quickly in a sheltered area if space permits, returning crab to the surface of the water gently, eliminating all dropping of crab, stowing crab in insulated holding areas, using adequate ice throughout the load, keeping the hold cold and moist, unloading only when the truck is on site, removing crab gently from the storage area, ensuring all crab legs are inside the pan, filling pans to only 45 pounds, re-icing crab immediately after weighing, storing crab on pallets with a plastic wrap for shipping, and storing crab in a cool, moist environment at the plant. This is best summed up by remembering: keep it moist, keep it cool, and handle with care. There is no magic to maintaining the quality of crab. All people in the industry who are involved in handling live crab play a very important role in ensuring final product quality. Good practices by all go a long way toward improving value, ensuring high-quality crab product for markets around the world. And regardless of the market, product quality is always important.